What's up, y'all? I'm back with another video. And today we finna do a motherfucking challenge. And I don't gotta introduce her because y'all know it's my girlfriend. Period.
Imagine your life being captured on video, shared with the world, and everything seems perfect. You dance, you laugh, you love, and you share it all with millions of followers. But then, one day, out of nowhere, everything is taken from you. Why would a neighbor, someone they trusted and lived near, want to hurt Sequoiya Lamar and Deja Morris? These two young women were full of life and love, sharing everything with their friends and followers online. But one fateful day, something went terribly wrong. Their lives were tragically cut short, and the world was left asking, why? Sequoiya Lamar, only 20 years old, was a dancer and a talented hair braider who spent her days creating beautiful braids and amazing TikTok videos that made her one of the most loved influencers. Her girlfriend, Deja Morris, at the age of 24, was a bright, caring woman who stood by Sequoiya's side through thick and thin. Together, they built a community online where people could follow their love story, dance routines, and adventures. They were just two young women living their dreams and sharing their happiness with the world. They were both on a rise to fame, creating a future filled with possibility. But in a heartbreaking twist, their lives were cut short. The tragic day came when their neighbor, Tye Deshun Stevens, allegedly took their lives.
Killing two women in Huntsville will now face a grand jury. Tye Stevens accused of killing the two women on Bennell Drive in August. Today, new details came out about that shooting. Stevens allegedly shot the victims 13 times between the two. Stevens and the victims were also neighbors. The three were allegedly in an argument about tires leading up to that shooting. The judge did not make a ruling on if Stevens will get bond.
Why would someone they knew do such a thing? Was there a fight? Did something snap? The answers are still unclear. And the only thing that is certain is that two young women with so much ahead of them were lost in a senseless act of violence. This case has left their followers, friends, and family devastated, struggling to understand what went wrong. Was it a neighbor dispute that escalated? Did the killer have a personal problem with them? What went wrong that day, and why did it have to end so tragically? If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we reveal the crimes that shock communities and the secrets hidden behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's begin. Sequoiya Lamar was a 20-year-old young woman who loved to dance and do hair. She was a talented dancer and hair braider, and she became very popular because of these talents. Her creativity and energy shone brightly through her videos, especially on platforms like TikTok and YouTube. In a short time, she built a large group of followers who loved her for her fun dance moves, friendly personality, and the way she shared her passion with everyone. Sequoiya's TikTok and YouTube accounts grew fast because people really enjoyed her videos. She danced to many popular songs, and her dance moves were full of energy and creativity. Her followers would watch her videos, dance along with her, and comment about how much they loved her style. Not only was she known for dancing, but she also made videos showing her skills at braiding hair. She would create amazing braids and teach her followers how to do it too. People admired Sequoiya's talent, energy, and positivity. Her videos were full of fun and color, and they made everyone feel happy. The way she interacted with her fans was another reason people loved her. She was always kind and friendly, and it was clear she cared about making others smile. Sequoiya loved collaborating with others, especially her girlfriend, Deja. Together, they made many videos that showed their love and teamwork. Their relationship was something their fans admired. They worked together, supported each other, and made people smile with their joyful videos.
What's up, y'all? I'm back with another video. And today I'm putting her in the hot seat. Y'all seen her on my channel before, but we never made a video together. So here we go. Introduce yourself.
Even though she was popular and had many fans, Sequoiya never tried to be someone she wasn't. She was known for being real and authentic. She didn't pretend to be perfect. She was just herself, and that's what made her so loved by her fans. People could relate to her because she was honest and true to herself. Sequoia's family was very important to her. Even though she was becoming famous on social media, she never forgot where she came from. She kept a strong connection with her family and friends, always making time for them despite her busy life. Her family was proud of her and the way she worked hard to follow her dreams. Sequoia's family supported her through everything, and they were always there for her. They encouraged her to keep going, no matter what. They knew how much she loved dancing and braiding hair, and they saw how passionate she was about it. Her family believed in her dreams and wanted to see her succeed. Sequoiya didn't let fame change who she was. She stayed close to her roots and always made sure to stay grounded. Even though she had many followers online, she valued her relationships with her family and friends the most. They were her source of strength, and she made sure to show them love and appreciation, always ready to spread joy and happiness to others. Her journey on social media was just one chapter of her life, but it was one that brought her much love and admiration. She had everything going for her: a bright future, a loving family, and a supportive girlfriend. Deja Morris was 24 years old. She may not have been as famous as her partner, Sequoiya, but she played a key role in their shared journey on social media. She was not just a partner in life, but also in the creative process, supporting Sequoiya every step of the way. While Sequoiya had a more prominent role on platforms like TikTok and YouTube, Deja was an important part of their shared content. She was always there, supporting Sequoia's dance videos, hair tutorials, and other creative posts. Deja's role was different, but it was just as important. Her calm and supportive nature balanced Sequoia's energy. Sequoiya would often be the one to lead in front of the camera, while Deja played a vital supporting role behind the scenes, making sure everything ran smoothly. Though she wasn't the main star, Deja's presence in their videos added a warmth and tenderness that made their relationship even more relatable to their fans. The couple was known for their deep connection and the love they showed each other, which was often clear in their online posts. Deja helped bring that love to life, whether it was through small gestures or her encouraging words that showed how much she cared for Sequoiya. Deja was known for being nurturing, kind-hearted, and selfless. She had a way of making others feel seen and loved, not just online, but in person too. She wasn't the type of person to take the spotlight for herself. Instead, she was always there to support others, especially Sequoiya. While Sequoia's energy and enthusiasm shone brightly in front of the camera, Deja provided a steady, calming presence. Her personality was gentle, and she always put others first. She was someone who listened, who cared, and who helped wherever she could. She might not have been as loud as Sequoiya, but her love and care were always there, quietly making a big difference in the lives of those around her. Friends and fans often describe Deja as someone who had a deep understanding of people's feelings. She knew how to make people feel special, and she always made sure that Sequoiya felt supported and loved. She was an encourager, the type of person who could help lift others up even in tough times. She wasn't just there for her partner, but for her family, friends, and fans as well. Her presence was comforting, and she always made sure that those around her felt like they mattered. Her ability to support others and put their needs above her own made her truly special. She was a quiet but powerful force in Sequoia's life, and in the lives of those who knew her. Deja's family was a central part of her life. Just like Sequoiya, she was very close to her parents, and her family was a source of strength for her. They supported her through everything, from her growing social media presence to her relationship with Sequoiya. Her family wasn't just supportive of her career. They were there for her emotionally, cheering her on every step of the way. Deja's close relationship with her family made her even more special. They were a big part of who she was and how she approached life. She valued family time, and it was clear that she loved spending time with her loved ones. She wasn't just about the fame or the online world. Her family and community were what kept her grounded. Tye Deshun Stevens was a man in his late 20s who lived just a few doors down from Sequoiya, Lamar, and Deja Morris. They were neighbors, which means they lived close to each other in the same area. While Tye and the couple interacted from time to time, they were not very close. They didn't spend much time together, and there was no indication that they had a strong friendship or relationship. They were simply neighbors who lived near each other. Tye's life seemed normal from the outside, but as investigators later discovered, he had a history of personal struggles. These struggles played a significant role in what happened, though at first, no one knew how serious they were. Tye had been dealing with some problems, particularly with anger, and had a history of mental health challenges. Tye Deshun Stevens was in his late 20s at the time of the incident. People in the neighborhood knew who he was because they lived in close proximity to each other. However, his relationship with Sequoiya and Deja was not one of close friendship. They knew him, but they didn't spend a lot of time with him. They didn't hang out together or share personal details. Tye was simply another neighbor in their community. Neighbors reported that Tye would occasionally talk to Sequoiya and Deja, but these conversations were not very deep or frequent. It's possible that Tye kept to himself for the most part and wasn't very involved in the lives of the two women. The fact that they didn't have a strong relationship means that it was even harder to understand why Tye might have committed such a terrible act. Tye's life wasn't as simple as it seemed from the outside. He had been facing some personal struggles that affected his mood and behavior. He had anger problems, which means he could get upset or mad easily. When someone has anger issues, they can have a hard time controlling their emotions, which can sometimes lead to bad decisions. These struggles likely made Tye's life more difficult and may have affected how he interacted with others, including his neighbors. In addition to his anger issues, Tye also had mental health challenges. Mental health refers to the way people think, feel, and behave. When someone has mental health problems, it can make life harder for them to handle, and they may act in ways that are unexpected or harmful. These struggles were not known to many people around him, but investigators later found out that they played a role in what happened. Although these altercations were not as extreme as the crime he is accused of, they were still important. They showed that Tye had some difficulty in his relationships with others. People who have problems with anger or mental health can sometimes find it hard to get along with others, which can lead to problems in their community. In Tye's case, these smaller issues seemed to build up over time, and sadly, it eventually led to a much bigger and more tragic event. In Huntsville, Alabama, something tragic happened one evening in August 2023. This quiet neighborhood was suddenly shaken by loud noises coming from the home of two women, Sequoiya Lamar and Deja Morris. Their house, which had been a place full of joy, love, and laughter, was now the scene of a terrible crime. It all started one evening when neighbors heard loud sounds coming from the home of Sequoiya and Deja. These sounds were not typical of the usual peaceful evening noises. People living around them became concerned and immediately called the police. What started as a regular day quickly turned into a nightmare for everyone involved. After the terrible shooting of Sequoiya Lamar and Deja Morris, the police quickly responded to the emergency. The police received several calls on 911, all saying the same thing. Shots had been fired. People in the neighborhood heard loud gunshots and saw something terrible happening. Right away, the police rushed to the scene. When they arrived, they saw two young women who had been shot. The police knew they had to act quickly to figure out what had happened and why. The area was quiet, but people were scared. Some people had seen what happened, and the police needed to know everything. Officers started talking to the neighbors. They asked if anyone had seen anything strange or heard anything before the shooting. The police were trying to gather as much information as they could to help solve the crime. When the police started their investigation, they knew the shooting was not random. The officers looked around and found many important pieces of evidence. This was a crime where someone had carefully planned what they did. It didn't look like an accident or a fight that got out of hand. It seemed like someone really meant to hurt Sequoiya and Deja. The police spoke with people who lived in the neighborhood. They wanted to know if anyone had seen anything unusual. One neighbor told the police that they saw a man walking away from the scene right after the gunshots were heard. That was very important because it helped the police focus on the right person. The police worked hard to gather all the evidence they could find. One of the first things they did was take photos of the crime scene. These pictures helped them see exactly what happened. They could tell where the victims were and how the attack took place. The police also collected anything that might have been left behind, like bullets or other clues. Witnesses were also a big help. Some people who lived nearby saw the shooter leave the area. They told the police what they remembered about the man. His description matched someone who lived in the same neighborhood. That made the police think they knew who the killer was. Another important part of the investigation was checking surveillance footage. Some of the houses in the neighborhood had cameras that could see what was happening outside. The police watched the footage and saw the man leaving the area right after the shooting. The video showed him walking away calmly, which helped the police confirm that he was the one who did it. After the police gathered all this information, they had enough evidence to arrest a man they thought was responsible. His name was Tye Deshun Stevens. He was a neighbor who lived close to Sequoiya and Deja. The police began looking for him right away. They started what's called a manhunt, which means they searched for him in different places. The manhunt led the police to a nearby town. They didn't give up, and after a while, they found Stevens. They arrested him and brought him in for questioning.
Killing two women in Huntsville will now face a grand jury. Tye Stevens accused of killing the two women on Benel Drive in August. Today, new details came out about that shooting. Stevens allegedly shot the victims 13 times between the two. Stevens and the victims were also neighbors. The three were allegedly in an argument about tires leading up to that shooting. The judge did not make a ruling on if Stevens will get bond.
When the police asked him about the shooting, Stevens didn't show any signs of feeling sorry for what he did. He denied that he had anything to do with it. He said he didn't kill anyone. But the police had already gathered enough evidence that connected him to the crime. They had the witness statements, the surveillance video, and the evidence from the crime scene. All of this pointed to Stevens as the person who had killed Sequoiya and Deja. The police were sure they had the right man. Once Stevens was arrested, the police charged him with 2 counts of capital murder. This meant that they believed he had intentionally and unlawfully killed 2 people. The police believed he planned the shooting and carried out on purpose. The crime was so serious that he could face a long time in prison. The investigation was hard work, but the police kept going, finding all the clues and making sure they had the right person. It was a sad and difficult case, but with the help of witnesses, evidence, and hard police work, the truth came out. The investigation showed how important it is for the police to gather clues, talk to neighbors, and keep searching for answers. Even though the crime was terrible and left everyone heartbroken, the police were able to find the person responsible for taking the lives of Sequoiya and Deja. Thanks to their work, justice could be served and hopefully their families could begin to heal. As of now, Stevens has not been tried in court and therefore no final punishment has been decided. He is currently in jail, awaiting his trial, which is scheduled for August 2026. During this time, the prosecution and defense will present their cases, and a judge or a jury will determine his guilt and the appropriate sentence. When Sequoiya Lamar was taken away so suddenly, her family was left with a hole in their hearts. They couldn't believe what had happened. Sequoiya was just 20 years old, a young woman with so much life ahead of her. Her family always saw her as a bright, cheerful person who was full of promise. She loved to dance and create beautiful braids, sharing her talent with the world. Sequoiya had so many plans for the future, and her family was so proud of her. After her death, Sequoiya's family wanted answers. They wanted to know why this terrible thing happened to their daughter, and why someone would hurt her. They spoke up and told everyone about how wonderful Sequoiya was, and how much they missed her. They held rallies and protests to ask for justice. They wanted to make sure that her death wasn't forgotten, and that whoever was responsible would be held accountable. Their voices grew louder as they fought for what they believed was right. They didn't want Sequoiya's death to be just another sad story. They wanted justice for her. Just like Sequoiya's family, Deja Morris's family was also devastated by her loss. Deja, who was 24, was remembered as a kind and caring person. She was always there for her loved ones and was the kind of person who looked out for others. Her family remembered how she would always make sure everyone was okay, whether it was helping her friends or just being there to listen. They saw her as a loving and selfless person who gave her heart to the people she cared about. After Deja's death, her family couldn't understand why this had happened to her. How could someone do this to such a sweet and kind person? They were heartbroken and in shock. The tragedy left them with many questions and no answers. They want to know why this happened and how they could make sense of something that seemed so unfair. The pain of losing Deja was deep, and her family couldn't help but wonder how such a bright life could be taken so suddenly. It felt like there was no explanation that could make them feel better. The loss of Sequoiya and Deja wasn't just felt by their families. Their fans and the people who followed their lives on social media were also deeply affected. Sequoiya and Deja were not just influencers. They were people who connected with others, made people smile, and shared their love for dancing and life. Their fans saw them as role models, and losing them felt like losing friends. After the tragic event, many people wanted to honor Sequoiya and Deja's memories. On platforms like TikTok and Instagram, fans flooded the internet with tributes. They used hashtags like #JusticeForSequoiya and #RememberDeja to show their support. These hashtags quickly spread, and many shared videos, photos, and stories to remember the couple. It was clear that Sequoiya and Deja had touched the lives of so many people, and they would never be forgotten. The tributes were more than just words. They were a way for people to show they cared and to keep the memory of Sequoiya and Deja alive. The couple's fans talked about how they had inspired them to be more creative, to love freely, and to live life to the fullest. Even though Sequoiya and Deja were gone, their impact on their fans' lives continued. The deaths of Sequoiya and Deja sparked important conversations. People started talking more openly about violence, mental health, and the struggles that people sometimes go through without others knowing. Some people wondered if Stevens, the man who allegedly took their lives, had been dealing with personal issues or pain that others didn't see. Many wondered if there were signs that someone was suffering before it was too late. It made people think about how much someone could be going through before they break, and how important it is to help others who are struggling. Sequoiya and Deja's deaths also made people think about the need to be kinder to one another. The tragedy reminded everyone that life is precious, and that no one should ever take it for granted. It was a wake-up call for many, showing them that violence can happen anywhere, even in the places where we feel safest. The conversations around Sequoiya and Deja's deaths became a way for people to learn and grow together, hoping to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. In the end, Sequoiya and Deja may have been taken from the world too soon, but their legacy lives on. Their families continue to fight for justice. Their fans continue to honor their memory, and their deaths have made people rethink how they treat others. While the pain of losing them is real, their lives, love, and the lessons they left behind will never be forgotten. As we reflect on the heartbreaking loss of Sequoiya Lamar and Deja Morris, we are left with many questions that challenge us to think deeply about the nature of violence, mental health, and how we can protect each other in our communities. What do you think made Tye Deshun Stevens snap? Was it a long-standing issue? Was there something in his life that pushed him to make such a tragic decision? Could there have been signs that no one saw? We may never fully understand the reasons behind his actions, but it's important to consider how external factors, such as mental health, personal struggles, or unresolved anger, can affect someone's behavior. What do you think could have prevented such a violent act? Could this tragedy have been prevented? What steps can communities take to resolve conflicts before they escalate to violence? This tragedy leaves us wondering what could have been done to prevent it. Could someone have intervened? What role do neighbors, friends, and community leaders play in keeping each other safe? What steps should we take to help resolve conflicts early before they become violent? How can communities ensure that people struggling with their emotions or mental health issues get the help they need before it's too late? How can the justice system support victims' families in getting closure after such tragic events? The justice system plays a critical role in bringing justice to victims' families. But the process of seeking justice can be long and painful. How can a legal system better support families who have lost loved ones to violence? What resources should be provided to help families cope with the emotional toll of a tragedy like this? What should the system do to make sure victims' families feel heard and understood during the legal process? What role does social media play in spreading awareness of crimes and offering support to grieving families? Social media has become an important tool for raising awareness about crimes, sharing tributes, and offering support. In the case of Sequoiya and Deja, their fans use social media to express grief, raise awareness, and demand justice. But how does social media help or hurt during such difficult times? Can it be a positive force for good in supporting grieving families? Or Does it sometimes add to the pain? What role do we, as social media users, play in helping victims' families and spreading awareness in a respectful way? These are tough questions, and while we may not have all the answers, discussing them is a first step toward making our communities safer and more compassionate. Sequoiya and Deja's deaths serve as a reminder how important it is to take care of each other and ensure that no one is left to suffer alone. Let's take this tragedy as an opportunity to reflect on our roles in building a kinder, more supportive world for everyone. If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.